This is the first time filming with the new camera, so if it goes wrong, it's not my fault. Hi, my name's Zara and I have Tourette's. But what people don't know is I actually have some other conditions alongside this. I don't talk about them as much, but I need to, and I can now because I have a diagnosis. After over a year of having seizures, paralysis, fainting episodes, not being able to walk, that's not even all of it. After having that for over a year, I only just got answers. That's how difficult it is to diagnose the condition I have. I got diagnosed with functional neurological disorder, which is FND. This video isn't about FND in itself, it's how I got diagnosed and when I was paralysed from the neck down for 10 hours. Yeah, wasn't fun. I guess I'll start with just being at home. I was just at home. I'd had kind of a long day, so it was probably all building up. The stress was kind of there, so that exacerbates symptoms a lot. And I got home, and about half an hour within being home, I had what I think was a drop seizure, but I don't remember, so I don't actually know what happened. I just remember being on my phone, I sat on my bed just scrolling, and then I dropped, and then woke up on my bed. When I came round and woke up, I realised I couldn't move. I was just kind of lay there chilling, waking up, coming to, and then I realised I couldn't move anything at all. All I could do was move my eyes, and I could kind of make sounds. Beats! Luckily, within about a few minutes, my mum actually came into the room, thankfully. Otherwise, I just would have been stuck there. I couldn't do anything. She came in to check on me and kind of went, are you okay? Me laying there in this awkward position, I managed to say, and I was like, can't move. And so she had to lift me up and lift my head and put me in a sat back position, on my pillows on my bed. And so she sat with me, and normally when things like this happen, because I get paralysis quite a lot in my legs and my arms from FND, normally when it happens it just kind of goes away over the course of either a few hours, or sometimes when it's full body paralysis, I've had it but it's only lasted a couple minutes, so we just kind of assumed that it would go away and that it was just a lasting after effect of the seizure. Little did we know this time it wasn't quite like that. So we just kind of laughed about it and was trying to figure out what to do and, testing whether I could move different things. I'll put a couple videos in over the top of this, but we were trying to see if I could move my toes or curl my hands or anything, and there was pretty much no movement apart from a slight twitch in my little toes. That's pretty crazy to think that I couldn't move anything in my body apart from my face and a little bit of my toes. Fuck. Ouch. What was I saying? This is the other problem with FND. Brain fog and memory loss. Not very helpful when you're trying to recount a story. So yeah, we were just kind of sat there waiting for it to pass. My mum had to feed me. She fed me cheese and toast because I literally couldn't move anything, so she had to do everything for me. I was just sat on FaceTime to a couple friends, trying to pass the time. I don't know if I mentioned this, but it was 6 p.m. when the paralysis started, so I got home about 5:30, and 6 p.m. I had the drop seizure, and then it was paralysed from 6 p.m. My whole body was paralysed from 6 p.m. So it got to about 10 p.m, which is the time that I'd normally go to bed. I'm a tired person, I go to bed pretty early. And it got to then, and we were kind of thinking, this isn't going away. It's been 4 hours, which is a long time. So my mum started figuring out whether we should ring doctors or whatever. I'm not sure what it's like in other countries, but I'm in the UK, so the NHS, you can't really get much help apart from 999, 111, which is the non-emergency helpline, and GPs. So GPs are closed. It was Sunday night, so the only option we had was 999 or 111. I wasn't in a life or death situation, so we didn't feel validated to ring 999. So my mum eventually rang 111 at about 11 p.m. because we didn't know what to do. Bearing in mind, it had been 5 hours by this point, and you gotta go to the toilet, you've gotta do this, you gotta eat, you gotta sleep, move. All these things, I couldn't do anything. And so we ended up ringing, and they said they were sending an ambulance because it was obviously quite concerning, and considering we didn't have a diagnosis or an explanation at this point, we were just kind of assuming it would be fine when it could have been quite dangerous, theoretically. So they sent an ambulance, which took about 2 hours, I think. We rang at 11. We had to wait about 40 minutes on the phone just to get through to someone because it's busy. That's the NHS. They're really bogged down with things, which isn't great, but you know, what can you do? Yeah, we just waited and tried to kind of get blood pumping a little bit because my hands and my feet were stone cold. Whenever I get paralysis, especially when it lasts like that long, my hands were all mottled. They were kind of going blue and purple, and they were just ice cold. Like my mum was feeling them and going, "Are you okay?"
Well, they're very pale, but they're very mottled.
Ah! Oh, fuck off. Ooh, that really hurt. So yeah, when the ambulance crew got here, they kind of took a look at me and were kind of confused, quite surprised, you know. And they did vitals and stuff. My blood sugar was actually low, which was a bit random because I've never had blood sugar issues. So they treated me with that, and they gave me glucose gel that I had to eat, and it was awful. It was so like solid. It was like this gel, but it wasn't like Bonjela. It wasn't like that. It was like thick, like, oh, awful. And I still have the taste in my mouth, I swear to God. So by this point it's been around 7 hours since I've been paralysed, and I have no movement back. I can move my head like this, I can kind of do that, and I can talk and move my face and stuff, but anything from here down, I couldn't move. What they ended up doing was, to get me in the ambulance, they had to lift me. So there were 2 young, strong paramedics that had to like get blankets under me and stuff. They lifted me onto this little, like the travel wheelchair, like transport thing, and they strapped me all in because I was just like flopping to the side because I couldn't hold myself up at all. And so they put me on that and managed to get me out to the ambulance, and then they transferred me onto the bed, and I was just kind of lay there because I couldn't do anything. I think it was about a half an hour ride to the hospital. I don't really remember. I was a bit fuzzy. I was kind of a little bit in and out because I felt really symptomatic and a bit like seizure-y when I was in the ambulance. Probably the stress. When we got to the hospital, we actually got taken to a specialist neurology hospital, which was good because it kind of fast-tracked us to where we needed to be, because we'd been waiting about 8 months just to see a neurologist, which we hadn't even got yet. The ambulance crew actually had to put me on a stroke pathway to get to the hospital because of how my symptoms presented, which makes the whole thing kind of a little bit more scary because it was stroke doctors that were seeing me, and they had to take me in, and it was all kind of old people. I don't want to say that in a mean way. Because I've just turned 16, this is the first hospital admission and hospital trip where I actually got taken into the adult section, because I'm normally in paediatrics because obviously I was a child. So this was kind of a weird experience because it's not as friendly and nice and cute in the, well, hospitals aren't cute, but it's not as friendly and nice and welcoming in the adult ward as it is in children's wards. Last time I was in hospital and I got taken in an ambulance, we had a penguin porthole on the wall, and it was, you know, quite nice. All the nurses were lovely. When we got there, we got taken into like the little, I think it's triage rooms, I'm not really sure, we just got taken somewhere, and they took bloods and they put a cannula in. My arm is still bruised from, I don't know if you can see that, but it's all still bruised. Cannulas freaking hurt. And then they basically just took us out to a room where the doctor came and kind of saw us, and then we were put on a corridor to wait in the A&E like waiting area. Because I was paralysed and I was obviously on like, I don't know what they call it, a bed? A trolley? The trolley bed thing. Because I was on one of those, because I was obviously paralysed, I couldn't be in the waiting room for A&E, so I was just kind of put in a corridor with my mum. And we were waiting, I think it was 6 hours on a corridor for a room and to be seen, which is kind of normal for the NHS, unfortunately. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning by the time we actually got like seen and, you know, put on the waiting list and stuff, so we were settled in a corridor by 2 a.m. Fuck. I'm still fully paralysed at this point, by the way. I think it was just under 10 hours that I was completely paralysed from the neck down, which was kind of really scary. I couldn't move anything, so like even if someone dropped something on me, or if someone, you know, I don't know, tried to kidnap me, I couldn't do anything, so kind of a scary thought. But I'm used to it a little bit because I've had my legs paralysed, but the whole body, it's so dehumanising in a way because you can't do anything for yourself. Yep. Oh no. The first sign of improvement and like a little bit of movement we got back was I could pinch my fingers ever so slightly. I think it was these ones, they could slightly go together, and we were so excited about that. I was like, oh my god, film it, we've got to document it, because I was like so excited. And it's just weird to think back, to think of that, just that simple movement being such a success. I don't know. So, I can't remember where I was up to. I think I had an absence or, I don't know, some sort of seizure. Brain's a little foggy, but I'm gonna try and carry on. If I've missed anything, I'll just edit it in. So, yeah, about 3:30, 4 a.m, I started getting my movement back, and it gradually got better. So it started off with like a little movement, then I could do a pinch, and then it kind of spread to the whole hands, and eventually I could kind of lift them and stuff. So we were just working on getting that back for a while. Still hadn't been seen by this point, so I was improving before we'd even been seen by a doctor. Also managed to go to the toilet at this point, because when I got my hands back I could lift myself. You know, that was useful since I hadn't been in like 13 hours or something ridiculous. So yeah, my mobility slowly started coming back, and eventually by about 6-7 a.m, which was when we got put in a room, I had my full top half kind of back to normal. It was just sore. We got seen by the doctor that was just on call in A&E, and he referred us to the consultant, and then the consultant referred us to the neurologist, I think it was. There was also a stroke doctor that came in, seeing as I'd been put down as a stroke pathway. So I was actually assessed as a stroke victim, which was kind of crazy. I was definitely the youngest person there. It was all stroke victims, which are usually more elderly people. Yeah, so I was a little bit out of place. My lower half was still paralysed for about a day or two after this, so they got to assess the paralysis, which has never happened before, and I got diagnosed with functional neurological disorder. That gives us answers for everything. It's what we thought I had, so it wasn't like a huge shock, it wasn't a massive surprise, and I kind of already knew in my head that I had it, so it was just the validation and like it was the clarity that we needed to tell us that it's definitely not something more serious. FND is serious, but we know that it's not life-threatening, so that's kind of a weight off our shoulders. It is a chronic illness, it's a chronic condition, and it's got no cure, which isn't great, but at least we know what it is and we can work on reducing the triggers and managing the symptoms the best we can. We are getting a wheelchair at the minute. We did a GoFundMe to try and raise some money so that I can get a proper custom fit wheelchair that will allow me to get around, because I use crutches every day. I use crutches in the house, and whenever I'm out the house at the minute I use a wheelchair. So pretty much a lot of the time. And I don't really get many places. I've not been to college in a week, and I don't go out. So we're hoping that even though it's a lot of money, so many people have been so generous and donated, and that is going to hopefully give me my independence back, and I'll be able to do normal things, which is a step in getting my life back. So yeah, that's the story of how I was paralysed from the neck down for 10 hours. My mobility is all back now, so I can move my legs, I can move my arms. Everything works, but it isn't quite functional yet. I'm still using crutches to get around my house, so even to get across my room I have to use at least one crutch, if not two. I have really bad tremors and my legs are so shaky I just can't stand without them, and I can't stand up with crutches for long, so I have to use a wheelchair if I'm going anywhere. My current wheelchair, which is just like a basic standard size like Amazon one, doesn't fit in my house, so when I'm in the house we can't use it at all, which is one of the probably main reasons why we're looking at getting a proper wheelchair, because it'll fit through doorways, which is godsend. Yeah, I'll give a little mobility update. I'll show you what my walking looks like. It's been a week since the paralysis, so it lasts a while. It takes weeks to get back to walking, and it gradually does get better, but more often than not I'll have another episode and be set back before I ever recover fully. So it's kind of an endless cycle of being somewhere between paralysed and walking. I'll show you guys my walking now. So this is what my walking's like with two crutches. It's pretty okay, I can get around like that. But if I switch to one, it's a little bit more wobbly. But it is easy to carry things, so when I'm around the house, I tend to just use one crutch. And then if I have no crutches, it's really difficult. It actually hurts my knees because I just shake, like I wobble so much from the tremors that my knees overextend and it's just painful, so I don't tend to do this and I would fall a lot if I did. But yeah, I'm recovering, I'm a little less tired, a bit more functional, but looking to get a wheelchair, and well, that's my story. I hope it was insightful. I hope you enjoyed watching and learning about it, and maybe it gives you a bit of an insight into what living with a disability can be like. It's definitely not fun being able to not move anything in your body and being sent into this really scary hospital where there's police everywhere and it's all adults and you're 16. But yeah, the paramedics were lovely, my mum's lovely, so it was okay and I'm doing alright now. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and I'll be doing a lot more videos on FND now that I have a name for it so I can explain my seizures and stuff. Subscribe if you want to see more content because I'll be doing a lot more like this, and I post weekly. I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you for watching. Bye.